Welcome to the Unicorn Convention and Nanobot Studios podcast. We are your hosts.
Greetings, salutations. I'm Jack.
And I'm Finn. I'm Finn, right?
I think you are.
Yeah. So, sorry. I just got to press a button. I pressed the button and now we can properly continue.
You can edit that out, maybe.
No, I'm not going to edit it out. That's going to be heard. We gotta give the real... anyways, wait. Who are you?
I'm today's guest, the most important and esteemed guest that ever lived. I'm Jaryd, Clatworthy, one of the co-owners of Nanobot Studios. As a filmmaker, I am a producer and first AD, but I'm happy doing most on-set roles, or even editing. My main hobbies are playing video games or just spending time with my mates.
You know, I realized that I was calling y'all co-hosts when you're meant to be guests. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Did you get co-host and co-owners mixed up?
Yeah, because you're
that.
co-owner. And who is another co-owner of Nanobot Studios?
Oh, wow, guys, it's me. It's Bailey. Bailey Franks. Shout out. Hello. I'm an actor. I'm a co-owner of Nanobot Studios. I probably shouldn't dox myself with my place of employment. This is going really well, by the way.
It is. I love it. I was like,
and
rule
also
one,
an
don't
aspiring
do this.
drag artist. But yeah,
Wow.
that's me.
That's very interesting.
And there is one more co-owner of Nanobots, but he is not here today, unfortunately. It is Will. We will get him later on in another episode. I realize me and Jack, we never gave lore on ourselves.
Yeah, we should probably do that.
No,
Or
I don't plan to.
Patreon, or just you, or like you don't
You
wanna...
can give lore if you
All
want.
right, fuck it.
I'm going to just say Enigma.
So, my name is Jack Gillett-Faulkner.
What did you say?
Enigma.
I did hear that did sort of...
What?
Yeah. Anyway, so my name is Jack Gillett-Faulkner. I am a media and communications student at the University of Newcastle. I'm also, believe it or not, a member of Nanobot Studios somehow. I have acted in a couple of their most recent skits. I've also done sound guy kind of thing. I have been what I've deemed the unnamed slave, which is basically just a derogatory term for set runner or production assistant. Exactly. I am the biggest Brock Besser stan. Brock Besser is a Vancouver Canucks player.
I've decided to sit down because I realize standing is... It's weird when I'm the only person standing.
You're the host, though.
I knew that wasn't going to last long.
I had to... I think the issue is it feels like y'all are like taller than me on it. So I just need to move the chair up. Okay, so a question for each of you. It's just a simple question. Maybe you want to add on a little bit lore that you want. It's just the first movie you remember watching.
Well, I guess I'll start us off.
Yes.
First movie I remember watching is... See, it's interesting. I don't know if I remember watching it or I remember getting told that like my parents took me to the cinemas to see it. But it was the Curious George movie. And apparently I was like really young. But I have fond memories of that movie because I watched it all throughout my childhood. And apparently I was laughing so hard at this little monkey and this man in the yellow hat that like my parents couldn't tell me to shut up. I was like 2 or 3 years old and I was just giggling the whole time. And they were really worried that everyone else in the cinema was getting really upset at this baby just like laughing his ass off at Curious George. But yeah, that's the first movie I remember seeing.
Jack?
Okay, so I did want to say Cars, the 2006 Hood classic, but it's...
God fucking damn it. I have car hatred.
Hood classic.
Oh, no, me and Finn always beef over this movie because I love it. He hates it.
Yeah. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
But it's just occurred to me that wasn't actually the first movie I watched. Just Googling it now, I watched this like Brazilian ripoff of Cars. I think it was called something like The Little Cars. Basically, like the CGI was very it was CGI. Let's just put it that way. And my nan, who ripped all those movies onto like these blank like DVDs, told me, you know, that's not the actual movie, right? I'm like, what? And so she put in the actual Cars movie, and yeah, I was just blown away. But unfortunately, that I can't claim that as my first ever movie, which I'm very, very devastated about. But we move.
I admittedly Googled it. and I'm looking at the posters of it now. There are so many of them. But
Wow.
what is your first movie, Jaryd?
Well, I can't be certain of this being my first movie. This is the one I first remember, and it's not even in a cinema. It was just Aladdin on my home TV. I remember watching that. And it wasn't even like the big TV. I remember it vividly watching it on my parents' little box TV that they had in their cupboard back then. It was really random. But yeah, Aladdin's obviously one of my favorites in terms of like old Disney classics.
That's a good one. I prefer the live action.
I just have to jump in and ask Jaryd, is this the like the Disney animated Aladdin, or was it like the bootleg direct to DVD like 1990s animated one that I found out
Like
that
the sequels?
No, it was like it came out like the same year as Disney's Aladdin, but I had a version of it and it ended so differently. It was like a completely different movie. And
No,
it
I
looked
had
like
the
it was
offici-
made in MS Paint.
No, I had the official one, thankfully.
Cool. Because I just remember, spoiler alert, Jafar's character, like everyone has like different names, but Jafar's character like impales himself on his sword at the end. Like that's how it finishes. Like it's no animated blood or anything. He just like poofs into smoke like they do in Star Wars when they die.
That's messed up.
Yeah, but that's how I remember Aladdin finishing. And then I saw the actual animated movie and I was like, whoa, this is different.
That's cutthroat. But you know what isn't cutthroat? A little bit of a story time where what if we just tell each other how we met each other? Because this is the...
Are you not going to tell us about your first movie?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. My first movie was, as far as I remember, Monsters vs. Aliens is what I think my first one was.
Nice.
And I remember screaming and panicking that I had to like be taken out of the cinema for a second. Because it's the local, I watched at the local one where there's the only one cinema screen.
Lake Cinema?
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. And I don't know why. I just remember screaming and panicking during that because for some reason just the alien part of it terrified me as a kid.
Yeah, those robots were actually kind of scary, I will say.
And then afterwards I was just completely fine. And I just watched that. That's just the earliest movie I just remember a vivid experience of. So now some story time of how we met each other. I'm nailing this, guys, right?
I know.
You're doing
Unless
well,
Will
sweetie.
shows up and says what his first movie was.
We got a thumbs up from someone listening in another box.
Yeah, our producer has given us a thumbs up.
All right. So the first one we have listed is us two co-hosts, Jack and me.
Jack and I.
Jack, I don't care about grammar.
That's what my mum.
I should
grammar
take
Nazi.
a grammar class.
My mum does
but-
that too, but it makes sense because she's a teacher.
yeah.
But it's like thank you for correcting me because I always get paranoid. I just will then move on and be like, okay. So how do we meet?
All right, so I can get you and Bailey done in one hit because I met both of you at Will's Halloween party back in 2023. I remember you two were kind of on different sort of wavelengths, at least from what I remember. I remember Finn being very rambunctious, very like energetic, full of energy, and Bailey was kind of more like laid back, just sort of not in the background per se, but just I just remember him being very mellow. I don't know, my memories.
Oh my god!
My memories
I
kind
just
of
see Bailey's face. She's
Jesus.
like so surprised. to hear mellow.
Of the two of us that I expected like that kind of thing, I fully expected to be like pitted as the rambunctious one. Like, not that you're not rambunctious,
Thank you.
but like out of the two of us, I feel like there is a more energetic one.
Admittedly, I don't even know what rambunctious means.
It means you just
Like
full
full
of
of
beans.
life?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
That's what I
Playful.
imagine, but I think it's like, you know, a word you think you know, but you don't properly know the definition.
Shout out Matthew Lewis.
So for me with you, I don't actually remember that. I think, though, I do kind of have like this vague memory of sorts in being like, I remember we would do like the classic manly hand clap and you fucking grabbed, like you tugged my arm down. You
Yeah,
had such
classic.
strength with that shit. It would terrify me.
I'm very aggressive with that kind of stuff. Like, Ask literally anyone else we know. Yeah, I can kind of go overboard, I guess. But yeah, my apologies. This is like a year and a half too late, but still, my apologies.
No. I was like, damn, I do not want to verse this guy in a fucking arm wrestle.
Oh, I'd probably get cooked in an arm wrestle because I don't know. I just feel like I don't have that dog in me, but. Who knows?
Dog in you.
Maybe after the show we can all do like a 4-on-4 comp or something. I don't know.
Well, we'll
Four
see.
on four come. I'm coming last. I can tell you that right now.
You know what? I'll take it. What about you, Bailey, with Jack? Since he talked about how he met you.
Yeah, I'm interested. What was I wearing?
I remember you were wearing that. It was like that floral skirt you have. Like it's like
Oh, I was wearing the Wonder Woman skirt.
yeah,
that was the
that's what it
comic
That
comic
was
skirt.
Halloween, right?
That was
Yeah.
Halloween. I thought that was 2024. Oh wait, we didn't
You
have
did-
one in
Yeah,
2024.
no, you did,
did we?
because everyone was busy with uni and stuff.
That's true.
That was so
Was it
fun.
I didn't think that was that long ago.
2023 or
It was
2023?
2023.
I remember
Yeah.
was it A League of Your Own that you were going for?
I was technically meant to be dressed as Gina Davis from A League of Their Own. I'm blanking on the character name right now, but yeah, I do remember meeting you there. I thought I had met you prior to that. I thought I had met you because we did like a uni thing with you earlier in that same year.
Maybe.
I thought like the boys had you on one of like a nanobot thing that we'd done together, but I could so be misremembering.
Yeah, I don't remember being involved in anything nanobot related before Debated because that was like a couple of months after the Halloween thing.
Yes. Oh, yeah, no, I do. I think I absolutely do remember now. I think it was, did you go to Will's birthday that same year, that 2023?
I didn't go to his 2023 party, but I went to the 2024 birthday party afterwards.
Okay.
Because I didn't know him at the time.
Well, it must have been the Halloween then. I'm pretty sure we
it would
played
have been
Jack.
Halloween.
Yeah, at the Halloween, I'm pretty sure we played Jackbox, and that's when we discovered that we both liked the same
Oh,
person.
yeah, that's because I was the
Yeah.
one who brought it up.
Yeah.
I was just like one of the
You would
question
bring it
responses.
up.
Yeah,
I can see
that's
that.
me.
Jaryd, the friggin' pot stirrer over there.
I am the pot stirrer.
What about we move on to the next pairing of meeting is Jaryd and Bailey.
Wow, okay. Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Yep, awesome. So I have you down as I knew you throughout primary school. I don't know when I met you specifically. I think it would have been like kindergarten or something. The only other time I remember us interacting a lot was at tennis for school sport in year 3. We were kind of like rivals back then, and then we didn't really talk that much. And it was only in year 6 when, through a mutual friend, that we became like good mates. And then, yeah, we've just been in a bunch of trios since then.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I do remember, this is an interesting story, probably wasn't meeting you, but I remember meeting your mum. She was like volunteering at one of the kindy days when we used to go around on all the different little like active things, like we would climb up like blocks on the...
Was it Gross Motors?
Yeah, Gross Motors.
Yeah.
And your mum was there, and I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't have the vocabulary to ask, what accent do you have? So I said, what language are you speaking? And she was like, I'm speaking English, thank you very much. But because obviously Jaryd's comes from South African parents, so
Oh, yeah, I didn't mention that before.
his mother has a South African accent, and I was like, oh, that's a new cool voice. What is that? I also remember you were friends with someone else that was kind of adjacent to my friend group at the time.
When?
In I want to say it was kind of year 3, year 4.
Yeah, I was friends with, was it one of the Lachlan's?
I remember it was Bryce.
Oh, Bryce. When were you friends with Bryce?
I was like we were kind of adjacent. Like
Because he lived
'cause I
across the
was
road
friends-
from me. That's why we were friends for a bit.
I just remember you two being friends.
Well, next off we have me and Jaryd.
Very exciting.
I just remember tennis camp. It was like the summer holidays.
Yeah,
Between year 6 and 7 because I was like finishing primary school and starting high school.
Yeah, I remember that's what I have because I remember I saw you around all the time, but I never spoke to you until that tennis camp, and then we learnt, oh, we're going to the same high school. So
Oh, yeah, I was like, fuck, damn it.
Yeah.
I want to get away from this guy.
that's definitely not true, guys. By the way, because I remember I met this guy once, and then he was like, oh yeah, do you want to come down to Wet n Wild Sydney with me? I was like, sure, okay.
Yeah, you said yeah.
It was such a good time.
Because I forget why. I think my dad influenced me on like asking stuff like that. But it was also I was going from primary school to high school where my primary school only had 5 people.
Yeah.
And in the end, only 2 of us ended up finishing year 12. But so like that was the thing of like I didn't know, and I also fucking hated like primary school was shit sometimes.
Yeah, well, you went to a Christian school, so
yeah, but it just ended up shit anyway. So I was coming into it sort of like as new, fresh and whatever. And we met there, and I can't remember the events of it, but I do remember asking me. Right now, I would never have the balls that I did back then to ask.
Yeah, it was such a good time though, because by then Bailey was introduced to Finn and he came along as well. So that's
Yeah,
fine.
and we can get to that story now. That's next in the order.
I was about to say, who else went to Wet n Wild Sydney? I was there as well. Yeah,
No, that
I
was
remember
great.
I got introduced to Finn through Jaryd because
Yeah.
they had met at camp. I remember it was like probably first or second day of year 7. Jaryd pulls me aside and says, hey, this is my friend. He also likes Star Wars and Marvel. And I was like, oh, no way, someone else that likes that too. And
You're like,
then-
holy shit, another nerd.
yeah.
There's so many of us out here.
And then I remembered I was so upset that I wasn't in the smart class so that I could hang out with you and not so much Jaryd.
He wasn't even in the
He
smart
wasn't in the
class.
smart class. But like you and all of our friends and all of the friends that were in the smart class as well that you kind of introduced me to, like Michaela and all those. And I remember I worked really hard to get out of the class that I was in because, fun fact,
I thought you were automatically thrown into that class.
yeah, when you have a disability and you go to Warners Bay High School, you get put into a specific class.
Yeah,
You
Bailey's
can
a
say
bit
it.
special.
I was in the special class.
I was in the smart class.
We had 2. Yeah, I went from the most like challenged class to the smart class. We had 2 support workers with us at all times. It was a fun class, actually.
You
like,
got that
looking
special
back.
chair.
I kept it after that class. I
Oh,
kept it throughout the
that's what I was
entirety.
I
saying. You
missed
got
that
yeah.
chair.
That chair got like assaulted when I went away. Do you remember I came back and there were like the freaking claw marks in them,
I
or the
think
fucking
so.
like knife stab? Like someone stabbed the chair with a knife.
Listen, I was just very fucking bored and pissed that you left us for like a little bit.
That you did this?
No.
Jeez, what a reveal.
But no, because I remember with you, I don't remember when it was in year 7, but I just remember I was playing handball with someone at lunch, and Jaryd kind of brings you over, but I was so focused on the handball that like in the corner of my eye, I see you, and Jaryd's like, this is Bailey. And I'm like, hi, Bailey. And I see this, my memory of that moment is this tall, skinny guy.
The fuck?
Taller and skinnier than me.
I was not tall back then.
Actually, yeah, true. You weren't
I
tall.
was tiny.
In
I
my
was a
memory,
small
you were
kid.
like just, it was like a tall and skinny is what I visualized. When like I look back at it, I don't know what the actual thing, but also like I was short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would remember someone in my class would be taller than me in that in year 7, and then like over the time I would eventually get taller than them.
Yeah, so it's
Growth
the
spurts and
advantage
shit.
I
of
felt
being a
that too
boy.
because I did like sort of around year 9, 10, I did grow very, very quickly.
Jack and Jaryd, how'd you meet?
So I met Jaryd as well as Will through the greatest actor of our generation, Matthew Christopher Lewis. We were friends beforehand in another uni class. This particular class that I met Jaryd and William was titled Global Media Industries, and one of our assignments was we had to make a group presentation on a particular concept that we had studied.
Slow media.
Yeah, that gives me PTSD just hearing that.
What was slow media? Do you remember?
I don't even want to get into it. It's just too many nooks and crannies. But anyway, I was destined to be in a group with a bunch of randos knows because Jaryd's group was already full. It was him, Matthew, and Will. But unfortunately, Matthew came down with a series of health issues, meaning he had to pull out of his studies for the semester. So he asked me if I wanted to join their group, and I enthusiastically said yes because I didn't want to. Because I kind of knew him by that point, like not fully, but
you got introduced.
But like I didn't want to. Again, I was worried about joining a group of just complete strangers. So I joined their group, and through a series of obscure and just inside jokes that like a grand total of like 3 people know, we became really great friends. I bonded more with Jaryd over like sport, whereas with Will's more like music and that. Matthew's illness was a blessing in disguise, to say the least, because, you know, on one hand, we unfortunately lost a really great person. Not forever. He didn't die. It wasn't that.
Oh my god!
Wait, it wasn't that bad. We
lost a great person. I wonder if Matt will hear this from beyond the grave.
We may have him on a future episode. Don't worry. He did not die. He's still with us, thankfully. But
He's a tremendous geezer.
But also, thankfully, I got to meet 2 more wonderful people, and our mateship lasts to this day. Because if it didn't, we wouldn't be in the same room. That's kind of the long short of it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like that group project, I remember when we actually presented it, we all had to do it for like 7 minutes or something, I think. Will went exactly 7 minutes. I'm like, oh, bang on, let's go. And then Jack starts talking and talking and talking. And I'm just like,
waffle.
20 minutes are gone. He's gone for like 13 minutes. I'm just like, okay, I'm skipping you my slide. And he fully said, oh, no, wait, what about mine? And I'm just like, no, bitch, you were done.
Because I remember we got to the part about the turkey slap, and Doc Rock was like, no, we're not going to be talking about the turkey slap. And that was kind of her cue to move on.
Yeah.
So, I apologize again for waffling.
Oh, that was so good, though. We didn't get a horrible mark for it either.
Which
was shocking.
We got like a D for it. D being distinction.
Just
to clarify.
Would D be like a kind of a B?
Yeah,
it's like a B plus.
It might have been a credit, but it definitely wasn't like we didn't fail.
I'm pretty
Credit
sure.
I say would be C.
I'm pretty sure it was a distinction.
And then pass is like C minus or something.
It doesn't matter.
We're guessing American grades in comparison. So what about we've met everyone now. We all know the stories of how everyone met each other. So let's move on to...
Are we going to do a quick roundup of how we all met Will or not bother?
No. Will can explain himself when he...
Patreon exclusive.
Yeah, Patreon exclusive.
Are we going to strangle Jack for saying it?
We can say how we met Will after the show, but we want Will to be here to corroborate the story.
Exactly.
So we got to move on to a nice little question time where I just ask you a simple question of what's the best and worst thing about meeting people for the first time?
I think the best thing about meeting someone new is obviously you can have a new friend. You immediately have someone that you can share so many experiences with. You have someone that you get to learn about their life and also about what they enjoy and what sort of binds you together, what common interests you have. I remember I met this friend that I have. He was so funny the first time that I met him, and I would not be friends with if I hadn't gone to uni and hadn't opened up my brain to be like, you know what? I'm not only going to meet people, I'm going to make new friends when I got to uni.
And he failed.
Yeah. The worst thing about meeting new people is that sometimes you're at a party and it's a friend's party and your friend has friends that you're not exactly friends with and that you very quickly discover you probably don't like very much. And then you sort of have to navigate this weird, awkward dichotomy of being like, I don't like you, but you're my friend's friend, so I have to kind of be able to coexist with you. I think that's a really hard circumstance when you have friends that are friends with some people that you personally would never be friends with.
I need help brainstorming what the best things about meeting people for the first time is, because I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, help me guys.
You're lost.
Mr. Antisocial in the host chair.
Yeah, I mean, the original version of this question was just the worst part because I could only think of I'm glass half empty kind of person, you know?
Pessimist.
But I think there is some joy of just hearing other people's viewpoints and such. I'll think Megalopolis is a movie that I deeply think is bad.
It exists.
I remember earlier this semester, someone had come and said, yeah, I thought Megalopolis was awful the first time I watched it. Second time I watched it, changed my mind, thought it was amazing, 5 stars. And part of me was shocked in that moment, but then I just went, oh, actually, like, why? Like, in a curiosity sense, it's the same thing as you should ask whenever somebody tells you their thought on a movie. It's just, why do you like it? Why do you hate it? Not, oh, that's wrong, that's right. It's just the why. I find that sort of curiosity of hearing different perspectives and such. The worst thing, though, I just hate small talk. I don't care how y'all are. I don't care how your day is. I want to know what you've been watching recently, not the generic sort of small talk.
don't wanna know
So
what
are
the
you saying you're a
weather's like?
psychopath?
Yeah, no, because what I'm learning is people just ask that question not for the actual answer, and it's just like to have a meaningless conversation with each other sometimes.
I agree with that, actually. It's a good point.
Oh, that's actually a really good answer, I think.
Thank you.
Finn's a philosophy guy.
Yeah.
I'm
'Cause I guess it
anti-socially
isn't-
philosophy.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that's more than evidence enough that you're not antisocial, because you're like, I actually want to have a meaningful connection and like have a conversation that means something with someone.
Yeah, that's why I get terrified walking past people I know, because it's like they're gonna be like, "Oh, how are you?" and it's not gonna feel like of any substance, because I'm gonna need like an hour to tell you how I am, not like a 5-second passing.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a different thing. And that's not
Yeah.
like meeting someone for the first time. That's like running into like an
Oh
old
yeah, that
cafe
isn't
out.
the first time. Yeah, I think it's just the scariness of how to jump into like that big conversation where you both feel engaged and such.
Yeah.
And it just sometimes can feel very terrifying because you don't know the person, you don't know like their interests and stuff. And I'm very bad at coming up with questions.
Fair.
Well, I tend to agree with a lot of the things you guys said. I'll just add a couple of my very specific points. So for me, I think the absolute best thing about meeting someone would be when you instantly click over like a particular interest. Like, for example, 3 different people that I've met through uni, including our friend Matthew, who I'll remind you again, he is still with us.
Is that just the recurring joke of this episode?
that's
Like Matt
that's my
is
thing.
actually still alive. He
that'll-
didn't die.
That'll be my thing until the joke runs dry. Anyway, so these 3 people I connected with over a hockey team, the Vancouver Canucks, because they were...
Suck.
Fuck you. Because they were fans of them to particular degrees. Like, some of them were a lot more knowledgeable, others maybe not so, but they still liked the vibe the team had around them. So it was easy to sort of bounce off of them and, you know, form that kind of initial connection. You know, I talked to some of them more than others, but still, like, just that knowledge, like the feeling of going from a complete stranger 1 minute to feeling like you've known them for years the next is just such a beautiful feeling, in my opinion. Regarding the worst thing, though, this could be potentially because I'm very introverted, but my least favorite thing is kind of just worrying about how sociable the person can be, because not everyone is going to be easy to fall into a conversation with.
Not everyone is a Matthew Christopher Lewis.
Exactly. Like, not everyone's going to be a complete social butterfly, or at the very least, just like easy to talk to for more than like a couple of minutes. Another example I'll give is with some of my coworkers, because there are some that when I first started working with them, we like barely talked. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was just starting my job. But then as time went on, the connections grew because I kind of realized how easy it was to talk to them. And yeah, I guess it kind of allowed me to come out of my shell. But then there's others that, you know, that's just what they are. They're coworkers. Like, they're a little tougher to sort of, you know, look into like the whites of their eyes. I know what I'm trying to say, but like, yeah.
I was like, where are you going with this?
Yeah, like,
You're just trying to describe them as like some sort of evil creature now.
Yeah.
yeah, Hero Brian. But yeah.
But I know what you mean. Like, there's a fine line between like coworkers and not a fine line, but there's kind of like a differentiation
pretty
between
clear line.
coworkers and friends.
I can. It's very easy for me to see that. I'd like to think that the most of the people not most of the people I talk to, like, I talk to a lot of people, but I wouldn't consider all of them my friends. I'd probably consider maybe like a quarter of them, because with those people, you can sort of talk about more than just, work with them. So those people to me are really special, and I find them to be the most sociable.
I think how you describe it as a friend is someone you lie for, a coworker is someone you snitch on.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a phenomenal way of putting it.
It's just about making work bearable.
Yeah, like feel less like work.
Yeah, 100%.
So, Jaryd, what are your best and worst things?
I think I'm going to start off with worst thing, actually. I think the worst...
So negative.
No, I'm trying to end on a positive, actually. Really.
Shit, you're thinking steps ahead.
Exactly. So I think the worst thing for me is such a tiny thing, but remembering names. I'm very good with faces. Like I can pick out someone. Oh, I know that person from like a mile away, but I'm really bad with names when I like first meet someone. So I'll just be like, sit down and be like, what's your name? Oh no.
Don't you love just having a conversation with someone and the entire time you don't know their name? And they don't know yours, but neither of you are going to admit that.
That's why pronouns exist.
Yeah, it's like the
pronouns. Just like old mate.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was said best by the comedian John Marco Soresi, who said, I'm all for trans rights, and I think trans people should have the right to change their name, because I had a friend that came back from overseas and she was trans and she announced her new name, and I was so glad she did, because I forgot her old one.
Oh, that is glorious. And then I think the best thing is probably similar to what other people have said, but I think just learning new stories that are outside your own social circle, because it can be very cyclical in your friend groups, the stories you tell, and like you keep bringing up like the same things over and over again. Because when you get to meet new people, you get to learn what they've been through and get to hear their perspective on a bunch of things that you've never heard before. And I think that's very special compared to if you're just talking to someone you talk to all the time.
Watching Sinners.
What do you mean by that? I know I've tried to get y'all to watch it, but can you go on more? I'm immediately a little bit lost on what you mean.
I was just saying, like, it becomes repetitive and we hear it all the time. And I feel like that was the it thing for like a week.
True, and now I've moved on.
Yeah.
I'm past that phase. Listen, it is still a good movie.
I was going to say,
Jaryd, you should still watch it.
I know my sister's been saying that she wants to watch it.
She knows what's up. She gets it.
I know my sister doesn't even like movies that much, besides like Twilight and shit.
Oh, so she's going to love Sinners. 'Cause it's vampires.
You say like one of the few movies that will link perfectly with it, but. Yeah. That's been a fascinating answer to the question. Now, let's move on to my favorite segment.
I'm looking forward to this.
Welcome to the Ryan Gosling segment, a segment that has nothing to do with Ryan Gosling. So, I've kept you guys in the dark on what this segment is. It's
exciting.
A little game. It's admittedly maybe silly, but the aim of the game is essentially to monologue without saying or ah.
Oh, God, I give up. I surrender.
Yeah, so we've said a few ums and ahs while we've been giving our answers, and now you've got to be put to a test. As soon as you say it while you're talking about your topic, immediately cut off, you're done. We got to move on to the next person. It could go on for a while.
So no blind ranking this time?
No blind ranking, sorry.
No, it changes every time, Jaryd.
Yeah, it changes every time.
It's the Ryan Gosling segment,
as long as it's not about Ryan Gosling, it just, yeah.
So I've made sure to get a collection of movie franchises. I am adding it to the doc that you can see now, and...
what?
Yes.
I can't see it. I have reception in here.
You have bad reception.
I'll just look up Jack's phone.
Yeah. So you look at that list, and do you want to pick it out yourself, or do you want we get someone else to pick it out? I'll let you guys pick out for me, because I've known what this was going to be, so it is a bit unfair for me, and I have definitely picked one of these topics and written an entire monologue about it. So please pick that one for me.
Oh, wait, so we're not choosing one for all of us, we're choosing one for
Each
ourselves.
separately, yes.
Okay.
I also purposely left off Marvel and Star Wars, because I know those
because you know they're the ones that we watch.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I just literally went through like a letterbox
Spider-Man
list.
there, though.
Yeah, that's the only exception.
I can't wait for this programmed to like for this segment, like once we've got our ideas in our head, for it to start, and then immediately someone goes, and then it just cuts off, and it goes to the next person.
Okay, so everyone has their selection made. Do you want me to go first to show it off, or someone else want to stab off first?
I reckon you should go first. As the
Okay,
host.
can you guys pick any of them? Just pick one of them, and I will talk about it because I've known about this.
Finn, I want you to talk about the Monsterverse.
Okay, so the Monsterverse is Godzilla and Kong. It started out with Godzilla, which was directed by Gareth Edwards. It has Aaron Taylor Johnson in it. Then there's Kong Skull Island. After that is Godzilla King of the Monsters. Then there's Godzilla vs. Kong. Then there's Godzilla X Kong. I forget what the tagline is for that one. There's also another one coming out in 2027. There's Rebecca Hall is in the latest two. There's also Rachel House. Rachel House is in the latest one. Love her because they filmed it in Australia. There's this little part in the end of the most recent one where I'm kind of blanking. Okay, so they're in Brazil. They're fighting in Brazil. But there's this little bit of like, Surfers Paradise in Queensland? And there's like the surfboards thing. So the surfboards signposting, you can look up Surfers Paradise entrance if you don't know what it is. That can be seen during the fight. I looked at that, and they're in Brazil, right? They're fighting in Brazil, and I'm like, that's Australia!
What?
Okay, I'm just gonna say
Oh, God.
Is it?
I can go
What are,
on.
what are the parameters? It's just and
just like that kind of
is
thing.
like one of them.
Like is fine.
Okay,
Like-
cool.
Because that's more of a disguise, and it's also normally used in a sentence. So, anyone else ready to go?
I'll bite the bullet. So, the Fast and Furious franchise is something that I'm surprised I've never really gotten into more than I have, because as a kid, two of my favorite racing games were Need for Speed Underground 2 and Need for Speed Carbon, which both place heavy focus on cosmetic customization of cars. And obviously that's kind of it. Those two movies are based off, the two games take heavy influence from the original Fast and Furious movie, which in turn takes influence from kind of car culture of the time. This is like late 90s, early 2000s. So I remember watching the first two movies and thinking to myself, why am I not vibing with it as much? I thought, given how many hours I put into those games I mentioned as a kid, I thought maybe I just...
Did you go,
I said, I thought...
I thought.
Oh, shit.
Oh, Jack is out.
Jack is
I felt like I messed
bin,
up and
10
just
bin.
cut you off on that. You guys just both collectively go, oh, and I'm like, oh.
No,
10 in the bin. I'm going to head to the judiciary next week.
See you later, Jack. Better luck next time.
That's like starting to be fun to see how good we are actually holding on to it, because I thought it would actually.
I'm
be cut
surprised
off
I
rather
lasted as long as I
quickly.
did, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm going
so-
to give myself props for that.
Which one of you is next?
I'm hoping Bailey.
Me? Okay. This is really, it feels like an acting exercise. It feels like I'm back at acting class. Okay. Ooh.
You're an actor. You should be good at this.
Yeah, but it's picking the subject. Sorry.
Already cut off.
See you
Okay,
later.
well, what do you got? What's the
See you
topic?
later,
Let's
guys.
begin.
So, the topic we're going to be talking about today is the Scream movies. In particular, I'm going to be talking about the first one just because that's the one that I know the most about. Starring Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Matthew Lillard,
I was thinking to say
and many, many other actors that I can't remember off the top of my head. But the thing that I love about that first Scream movie is that it's essentially a parody of all horror movies, which was then further parodied in the Scary Movie franchise. And I really enjoy just the whimsy, but also the very serious undertones of like, this is still a horror movie. It's not like a fun like comedy,
Did you
even
say,
though it pokes fun. No,
Said this is
this is a.
This
Is still a horror movie.
Accents and stuff. Continue. Forgive me. I have to be a cop on this.
No, that's so fine.
I have disrupted your flow so much. I deeply apologize. You got more? Okay.
No, it's fine. It's just the reason that I stopped right then was I felt myself say, and then I stopped myself
I could
from
see your
that.
mouth about to process and say it.
Anyway, back to the characters.
That's my line.
The
I'm distracted so much. I realize I did fuck up calling that out.
this is so Scream is obviously a franchise that has many different spin-offs and sequels, and I also want to just point. Oh,
I heard
Okay, that time.
yeah,
it
that
was.
time I can't hide it. I did it. Well, that's me talking about Scream done.
But you got.
Great
I
essay.
have to apologize over and over of like how much my incorrect call out distracted and derailed that so much.
Well, because you said that, and I was immediately like, oh no, this is A.
Yeah.
And then I went back into it, and I was like, like I was about to go
Yeah, I could see it in just your face was doing it. Now, Jaryd.
So thankfully, I was going to choose between Fast and Furious and this. So thankfully, Jack did me a solid. So I guess I'm going to be talking about a Spider-Man movie. Not just any Spider-Man movie, but the latest, the latest live-action one, No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home is a movie that has characters in it, believe it or not, called Spider-Man, played by
Wow.
Tobey Maguire. He comes back, and Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland. So Finn likes this movie, but not as much as me. And it's a great movie. And Bailey's laughing very hard right now.
I'm just laughing because like I heard Jaryd be like, well, I like this. Finn likes this movie, but not as much as me.
Yeah, I like
As if
so
that's like
many
an
more.
central plot point of the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, I know. It's very
So
important.
How do you know I like the movie?
I know.
Because
I'm
we
just
watched
kidding.
it with you.
Oh yeah,
The
but that
first time I
that
ever
was your
watched
first
it.
time, but me and Jaryd had already watched it before.
Oh.
Yeah, I watched it with my family in Kiama.
I watched it with my dad on Christmas in a cinema full of people while like it
Bro,
was like
my
the end
cinema-
of pandemic, so it was
My
so
cinema
strange.
was full as. Like, some people didn't even get seats because apparently they're like, almost like they're overbooked.
How do you overbook? No, people snuck in.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Does that mean did we end off the
No, I actually didn't say yet.
Yeah.
So I'm technically
You just
supposed
did
to.
it. You just said-
You just said
Yeah, we're gonna count it. We're gonna count it.
You're off, mate. You're off.
10 the bin. Game's gone soft.
Well,
How's it going upstairs?
Our producer's going upstairs. She's reviewing the footage.
We have an just checking for accents, and I know.
just checking for accents. So, what did we learn in that experience?
That I hate my life.
I need speech therapy.
I felt like it was interesting because we probably said more in previous answers and such, and this one where our brains were actually told to not say we would pause and take a moment to think instead of adding the in.
Yeah, I have to agree. There was a lot more silence.
Yeah, we tried
Which
to
is
stop
not
ourselves.
which is not as good for the listeners at home, unfortunately.
But it's also like how you speak in a way. Like maybe that's
Yeah.
what it kind of is that practice is holding you
Sucked in
accountable.
listeners.
I noticed Bailey's cadence was like very like all over the place in certain times. Like for the most part, things were fine, but like he just kind of just like that whole thing. And then with me, I said pardon me, which I never say. I always say sorry because I'm just like Canadian at heart, I guess. But yeah, like those are the kind of things I noticed.
Canucks, baby.
I can't relate. I say pardon me all the time. Maybe I'm just posh.
You just
You just
Posh bastard.
you just don't have that Canadian gene.
No.
That Canadian
I
jeans
quite
scares
literally
me.
do not.
Well, if you go to
I-
like a clothing store in Canada, you can get Canadian jeans.
But
Yeah, but technically I'm
yeah,
not.
no. It's
Okay, but with that,
Dad jokes McGee over here.
we end off. We had a very glorious Ryan Gosling segment. Now, what do we do to end off?
Follow Nanobot Studios on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. We don't have a TikTok while we're recording this, but by the time it's released, we will.
Yeah, I
So
was
get
gonna
ready
say,
for
we
that.
have a TikTok.
Yeah, I was going to say, please follow us on TikTok. Please follow us on
Please
all
follow us.
socials.
On all
Like,
socials.
I feel
What
like we're
about
those
on
awful
LinkedIn?
podcast
Oh,
guests.
LinkedIn. Yeah, of course. Follow us on LinkedIn, guys. But yeah, most importantly, YouTube, because that's where we release all our amazing skits, films, all that exciting stuff.
All that exciting stuff.
Yeah, I did have voice crack,
Can
man.
you hit the table while you do it too? Let's see if we can pick it up. But ting. Okay. Well, does anyone have anything else to say?
Make sure to breathe because
Shit's important.
yeah,
Hey, that's insensitive to people with asthma.
Oh, shut up, Jaryd. I've been trying so hard this whole time not to breathe in the camera.
use your
Breathe in the
It's
camera.
like the button you press. You can just press the button and go, like
Oh,
that.
God.
I don't know if anyone heard the breath, but you all did.
I was going to say I heard it.
Yeah. Well, with that,
Back it up.
I gotta say this line that has been written out by Jaryd for me to say. Goodbye, all. Thanks for listening. And as us filmmakers love to say on set, that's a wrap.